I hope everyone celebrates for them, whether they just agree with the monarchy or not. For her especially, where it's going to be the most difficult life. One thing in the world, if I could, get rid of, is that negativity in the British press and that hatefulness, that horrible, nastiness that we have pervades our British media. I put the record straight. She went and did the Oprah show and kind of bad-mouthed me. And in fact, I wanted to put the record straight on what really happened.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the space where the echoes of royal history never truly fade, and where the stars of music and monarchy collide in the most unexpected ways. Today's story is one that feels almost cinematic, a tale of friendship, loyalty, heartbreak, legacy, and shifting allegiances that continue to shape the House of Windsor. At the heart of it all is a man whose voice and music have defined generations, and a woman whose compassion and courage transformed the image of royalty forever. I'm talking, of course, about Sir Elton John and Princess Diana. What if I told you that Elton, the Rocket Man himself, has opened up in ways that completely reshape how we understand Diana's final wishes? What if I told you that his reflections, some decades after her passing, not only honor her memory, but also cast a striking light on the paths chosen by her sons, William and Harry, and by the women who stand beside them? This isn't just a story about jewelry, estates, or inheritance. It's about something much deeper, about how Diana's legacy continues to guide the monarchy's future. And as we'll see, Elton's recent words may signal that this legacy is being safeguarded by William and Catherine, while others risk drifting away from the path Diana once envisioned. So, before we dive deeper into this fascinating journey, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe, so you never miss the twists and turns of royal history and royal drama. Because this one, my friends, is about to take us right back to where it all began. Picture this: Windsor Castle, 1981. A ball glittering with royals, aristocrats, and celebrities. The formality of the setting couldn't have been more rigid, but in the middle of the pomp and circumstance, two unlikely spirits connected instantly. Princess Diana, newly in the royal spotlight, and Elton John, already a flamboyant superstar known around the world for his unforgettable music and outrageous style. Their bond, which sparked that very night, blossomed into something extraordinary. This wasn't just a casual celebrity friendship. It became a profound and enduring connection. Elton himself recalled in his memoir how he and Diana clicked immediately, sharing laughter, private confidences, and a mutual disdain for the tabloid press that relentlessly hounded them both. Diana was no stranger to isolation within the royal fold, and Elton, who had fought his own demons while under the scrutiny of fame, understood her struggles in a way few others could. To Diana, Elton wasn't just a rock star, he was a confidant, someone who offered unconditional friendship when others judged or betrayed her. To Elton, Diana was more than a princess. She was someone who could look past the glitter of his career and see the man behind the stage persona. Their friendship grew throughout the 1980s and 1990s, weathering both triumphs and turbulence. And then came 1997, the year that shattered millions of hearts around the world. When Princess Diana's life was cut tragically short in that Paris tunnel, Elton John was one of the first to step forward to honor her memory. His reworked version of Candle in the Wind, performed at her funeral, became more than a song. It was an anthem of collective grief, a tribute that captured the sorrow of the world and turned it into action, raising millions for charity in her name. But behind the music, Elton made another vow, one less public, but perhaps even more powerful. He promised to look out for her sons, William and Harry. He saw in them the living continuation of Diana's spirit, and he carried with him the duty of being not just a family friend, but almost a guardian of her memory. Little did anyone know at the time that this vow would later place him in the middle of the monarchy's greatest modern rift. Fast forward more than 2 decades. Elton John, now a global legend and humanitarian in his own right, has begun peeling back layers of Diana's story that were once thought to be sealed away forever. In candid interviews and conversations over the past few years, Elton has offered glimpses into Diana's final wishes, wishes that go far beyond the legal documents of her will. These weren't just matters of money or property. They were symbolic roadmaps for the future of her family, infused with her deepest hopes for stability, unity, and compassion amid the chaos of royal life. One of the most striking revelations Elton has alluded to involves Diana's jewelry, a collection of iconic pieces, each loaded with meaning. According to Elton and those close to him, Diana didn't see these jewels as mere accessories. She saw them as symbols of continuity, heirlooms that would empower the next generation. And not just her sons, but the woman who would one day stand beside her eldest son as queen. This idea adds a whole new layer of meaning to what we've already witnessed. Catherine, Princess of Wales, wearing Diana's sapphire engagement ring, her pearl earrings, her brooches. These appearances aren't just fashionable choices. They're a living bridge between Diana's legacy and the monarchy's future. At a 2023 AIDS Foundation event, Elton even remarked that Diana would have been thrilled with the choices that reflected her humanitarian ethos, choices that Catherine has embodied time and time again. And this is where the story shifts into something even more powerful. Because these jewels, these heirlooms, are not about material wealth. They're about Diana's quiet endorsement of the daughter-in-law she never met, but seemingly foresaw, a woman of quiet strength, resilience, and a commitment to public service. For Catherine, stepping into Diana's legacy has never been about mimicry. It's about carrying forward the torch of compassion in a way that's both modern and deeply respectful of the past. From her work with children's hospices to her focus on early childhood development, Catherine's humanitarian projects mirror the compassion Diana championed. Royal insiders note that Diana's estate included not just financial inheritances, but also personal effects, letters, diaries, and carefully chosen items that were meant to inspire her sons' future families. Elton John's reflections suggest that Diana intentionally designed these legacies to empower William's partner, ensuring that her eldest son's path to the throne would be supported by a consort who shared her values. As Catherine now approaches her eventual queenship, with King Charles's health an ongoing concern, these privileges and heirlooms take on even greater meaning. Every sapphire earring and pearl drop she wears is more than jewelry. It's a signal, a continuation of Diana's story, a thread weaving the past into the present, guiding the monarchy toward a future of empathy and relatability. And Elton has been one of the loudest voices affirming this. He has praised William and Catherine's balance of duty and family life, noting that they embody the kind of grounded leadership Diana always hoped for her sons. In the years after Diana's tragic death, Elton John's role in William and Harry's lives grew quietly, but steadily. He wasn't there to parent them, that was never his place, but he offered a form of mentorship, the kind that only someone who had lived through fame, scrutiny, and personal battles could provide. Elton attended both of their weddings, a symbolic presence that tied Diana's memory to these milestones. In 2011, he and his husband David Furnish watched proudly as William married Catherine, a moment that seemed to embody stability, dignity, and hope. 7 years later, Elton went further, not just attending Harry's wedding to Meghan Markle in 2018, but performing for the newlyweds. At that time, Elton spoke warmly about Harry and Meghan, describing Harry as the rebellious echo of Diana, someone who wore his heart on his sleeve and fought passionately for causes like mental health and HIV/AIDS awareness. He told People magazine that watching Harry fall, totally in love, reminded him of Diana's own fiery passions and openness. For a while, it seemed as though Elton's vow to look after both boys had found equal footing. He defended Harry and Meghan when tabloids tore into them, even lending his private jet for trips while shielding them from criticism by pointing out that he personally offset the carbon emissions. He was a loyal ally when few in the royal orbit spoke publicly in their defense. But as we know, history is never static, and loyalty, especially in the volatile world of royalty, can shift when values and visions diverge. By the early 2020s, small cracks began to show in Elton's once warm relationship with Harry and Meghan. Biographers and insiders noted that the shift wasn't abrupt, but rather a slow accumulation of disagreements and disappointments. In his memoir Spare, Harry himself recounted a falling out with Elton over the serialization of Elton's autobiography in a tabloid newspaper. Harry, deeply distrustful of the media, felt blindsided and betrayed. Elton, in turn, felt misunderstood. After all, he had lived his life in the press and saw publication choices differently. This disagreement might have been patched up under different circumstances, but it coincided with a larger divergence. Elton reportedly grew wary of the couple's media strategies, the tell-all interviews, the high-profile Netflix deals, and the podcasts that seemed to draw upon Diana's story in ways that felt, to him, more self-serving than unifying. Friends close to Elton have suggested that he began to see Harry and Meghan not as reformers, but as disruptors, people who, rather than honoring Diana's hope for unity, were deepening the fractures she so desperately wanted to heal. At first, Elton had been enchanted by Meghan Markle. He and David Furnish even hosted Harry and Meghan at their villa in the south of France in 2019. They praised her intelligence, her humanitarian work, and her ability to captivate audiences. For a brief moment, it seemed as though Meghan could be the fresh, modern figure who brought Diana's spirit into a new age. But that optimism began to sour. Rumors circulated about tension between Meghan's creative projects and Elton's inner circle, particularly around the cancelled Netflix animated series Pearl, which was developed in partnership with David Furnish. Insiders whispered about creative clashes, overlapping ideas, and even accusations of unoriginality. The project's quiet cancellation was seen by some as evidence of a relationship turned frosty. Then came the Oprah interview in 2021, followed by Harry and Meghan on Netflix, and Harry's memoir Spare. Each revelation widened the gulf between the Sussexes and the rest of the royal family, and by extension, between them and Elton. Elton, who had fought alongside Diana against invasive media and cruel tabloid narratives, reportedly grew uncomfortable with Harry and Meghan's strategy of battling the crown through a mix of publicity and personal grievance. Sources close to him say he viewed their approach as dangerously close to exploiting Diana's memory rather than protecting it. And if there is one thing Elton has guarded fiercely for decades, it is the authenticity of his friendship with Diana. To see her legacy weaponized in media battles, that, according to friends, was a line he could not comfortably cross. As his relationship with Harry and Meghan cooled, Elton's bond with William and Catherine deepened. As his relationship with Harry and Meghan cooled, Elton's bond with William and Catherine deepened. By the mid-2020s, his public comments were unmistakable. In interviews and charity galas, he began praising William and Catherine as the true inheritors of Diana's legacy. In a 2024 Daily Mail feature, Elton described them as a couple who balanced duty with family in a way that Diana herself